So what was your main takeaway from the draft this year, now that you've gotten about 2-3 weeks to clear of it, to think about it?
Oh, wow. Well, I think right at the very top, I think the aggressiveness the Houston Texans showed to get the kind of people that they wanted, that DeMeco clearly, and let's, look, I mean, no disrespect to Nick Caserio, but this is DeMeco's bus that he's driving. Like, to be aggressive and say, hey, look, C.J. Stroud was the guy who we wanted. Forget all the other BS that was flying around about him, about this test, that test, not being coachable, all this. That's who I want. Will Anderson is who I want. Because nobody can withstand the kind of hard coaching the way this kid can. And he told us that down at Bama. And if you know DeMeco and how they coach defense and how they coach defensive linemen in particular, this kid's built for it. He's made for it. He's absolutely made for it. And then they continue again with like these nice foundational pieces. This Juice Scruggs, the center from Penn State, he's going to wind up starting for them. Tank Dell's going to wind up being one of C.J. Stroud's biggest targets. I mean, this guy is like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Henry To'oTo'o was another foundational culture pick who plays the position that DeMeco played at, the same school DeMeco played at, so he has all the intel. I mean, these are just – so that stood out to me. And I know many people think that Houston's just they're an afterthought in the grand scheme of things. I don't think they're an afterthought. I really like what they did. The other team that really stood out to me right away is, and I said this last year when I went to see them in training camp, that Seattle was building a contender, a real contender. People laugh, Geno stinks, this roster is going to be a top, there'll be a top 2, top 3 picking team, blah, blah, blah. Rich, they killed the draft. They absolutely killed it. Witherspoon's going to start. Smith-Njigba is going to start. Derek Hall's going to play a ton. Charbonnet is going to rotate in there. Oluwatimi is going to be a great depth player. Kenny McIntosh will probably wind up being a guy who, if he's not on practice squad, he's going to be on their regular day roster. Cam Young's going to give them beef in the middle. Anthony Bradford, the guard who they drafted at LSU, was one of my favorite players, unsung players in this draft, who plays kind of a position that people don't really think much about, being offensive guard. He's a freaking stud that could wind up being like, you remember Carl Nix out of Nebraska when he played for New Orleans, when he played down there with Jari Evans, and those guys formed that dynamic duo at guard that Drew Brees used to just sit behind like for days on end and throw the football? That's who he reminds me of.
How about that?
Carl Nix. This kid's going to be, they hit it right, and Seattle has been developing some studs now as far as their young players are concerned. They're going to be, I think Seattle could win the West. Because I think San Francisco, quite honestly, of all these teams, we're talking about who could crash the party and then who could crash out of the party. Mm-hmm. As much as I love San Francisco, Rich, I think they could be in trouble.
Why?
I think they could be in trouble.
Why is that?
Offensive line is not as strong as everyone thinks it is for them. Internally, they know that could potentially be a sore spot. And now you have quarterbacks who we don't quite know how it's going to play out.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.